This is the Thorn Flowers pattern. This is what we're going to be doing this month. It's going to be our first venture into color work. Let's look at it up close so you can see. It's really pretty. It's not hard. You're just going to have to pay attention to what you're doing. So, and we are going to learn a couple new techniques on this thing. So let's look at our pattern. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to read over our entire pattern, okay? And then I will come back and we will get into specifics, and I will also demonstrate the techniques that we'll be using on this pattern. So let's look here. Strip 1, block 2, thorn flowers. So this square uses two colors, obviously. So you've got your key, which explains everything. MC, main color, CC, contrasting color. With yarn in front means your yarn is in the front of your work. With yarn in back, yarn in the back. We're going to learn a new technique, knit yarn over knit, which is increasing 1 stitch into 3 stitches, and we're going to be learning a lockdown yarn method for when we switch colors. I've got my the how-to here, and so for every technique I've got a link that'll take you right to that video to remind you on how to do these things, so you don't have to watch this whole video again. Okay? So we'll get back to these techniques. I'll show them to you. So let's begin the square. Let's read it and see how we're going to do this. We're going to knit 2 rows and garter stitch, increasing 3 stitches on the second row, equaling 55 stitches. 49 stitches are used in the thorn flower pattern. 6 stitches are used in the border. Okay, work pattern until the piece measures 12.5 inches from the beginning of the pattern, from the beginning of where we start the pattern from the garter ridge. Okay, let's see here. You're going to end after working a right side row. That means you work a right side row and then you're done. Then you're going to go to knit 2 rows and garter stitch, decreasing 3 stitches on row 1, and do not bind off. You'll just wait until we start the next pattern, okay? So we're going to begin the thorn flowers pattern. So you're going to need 2 balls of your main color, MC main color, and your 1 ball of your contrasting color are required for this square. The second ball of the main color can be small, about the size of a tennis ball, or even smaller. Okay? You are going to pay close attention to set up rows 1, 2, and 3. These rows will introduce you to the lockdown yarn technique that will be used to keep the border stitches in the main color and the pattern stitches in the main color and contrasting colors. Setup rows are the first 3 rows of the thorn flowers pattern. When completed, begin row 4 of pattern. Okay. Remember, the border stitches are always worked in the main color. The border stitches are included in setup rows 1, 2, and 3 only so you can get the idea of it. After those initial 3 rows, the directions are only going to be for your thorn flower pattern, not the border stitches. Okay? So we've got set up row 1, 2, and 3. Every row after setting up row 3 will be using the lockdown technique, even if you are using the same color for the border stitches and pattern stitches. You carry the yarn up and keeps everything secure. Okay, that's going to make sense to you in a minute. Let's look at the pattern, okay? Thorn flower pattern. So when I say set up rows 1, 2, and 3, what that means is set up row 1, using main color, you're going to work your border stitches, okay? Then you're going to come down here and work row 1 of your flowers pattern, okay? And then you would use the main color for your border stitches. Set up row 2 is knit your border stitches in main color, add contrasting color to work the flower pattern row 2, which is right here, okay? That tells you how to do that. And then go back to here, and you're going to add the second ball of the main color to work the last border stitches. So this tells you what you're going to do. On setup row 3, you're going to do your border stitches in the main color, work thorn flower pattern in row 3 in contrasting color using your lockdown yarn technique, and then you'll work your border stitches in main color using lockdown yarn technique. So after that, you will just hop on down to row 4, main color. That's what purl 4, and then you'll go row 5, row 6, row 7, and then you'll go back up to row 1, 2, 3, and keep repeating. But after those first 3 setup rows, I am not including the border stitches in this pattern at all, okay? Let's look at the pattern. So it starts out row 1, right side, main color, which we already have because we're doing our border stitches. You're going to knit 2. You're going to knit yarn over knit. Now your knit yarn over knit involves 1 stitch, and I'll show you how to do that. Then you're going to knit 3, repeat. So you're repeating what's in the parentheses only, and then you're going to end with a knit yarn over knit, knit 2. So you're going to repeat this until there's 3 stitches left, and because this requires 1 stitch, and then there's that, and then you'll do your border stitches. Row 2 is contrasting color. So in the setup row, it tells you you'll do your border stitches in main color, then you're going to add your contrasting color, purl 2, slip 3 with yarn in front, purl 3, and you're going to repeat what's in here, ending with a slip 3, purl 2, okay? So all that means is your yarn is hanging in front of your work, and you're just going to slip 3 stitches onto your right needle. Okay, let's do that real quick. So here we go. Here's my yarn in front. Oh, I've got it backwards, sorry. Just a second. Okay, here's my yarn in front of my work. Slip 3 with yarn in front. 1, 2, 3, and then it tells me to purl 3. So my yarn was in front, and all I'm going to do is purl 3, and I'm just going to bring that yarn that was hanging, and it goes all the way over there, and you start purling, okay? So then I purl my 3. If it says slip 1 with yarn in back, that just means, again, your yarn is going to be hanging in the back of your work, and you will slip 1. Okay? So don't read too much into this. Just do what it says. Okay? There's a couple rows that you really need to keep track of, and one of them would be this. You're going to do your border stitches, then you're going to do your contrasting color, you're going to knit 1, then you're going to knit 2 together, slip 1 with yarn in back, slip, slip, knit, knit 1. You'll keep doing that all the way to the end. You really just have to pay attention to the pattern and where you're at. So I definitely suggest a row counter and to have some quiet time while you're doing this. You're going to lose your place if you're just watching TV or chatting with someone, I think. Okay, let's go over the technique. Okay, I am going to do, let's see here. I'm gonna do rows 1 and 2, okay? Or I've made my pattern a little bit smaller, my stitch count a little bit smaller, so we don't have to go through the whole thing. But let's see here. Okay, so here's my. So I've got my main color right here. gonna start with my border stitches, okay? Just start right there, 1. And I'm gonna do the setup row, which is row 1. It's just using main color, work all of the border stitches and then the Thorn pattern. Okay, so there's my border stitches. So it says for me to knit 2, knit 2, and then I'm going to knit, yarn over, knit. It only involves 1 stitch, okay? So we're gonna knit like normal, but we're gonna pull it through, but don't pop it off. Now we're going to yarn over, okay? That means I'm trying to make it so you can see this. Just wrapping your stitch. Look, I'm not putting my needle in anything. I'm just wrapping the yarn around my stitch as if I was knitting. Then I'm gonna put my needle back in the stitch and knit. And look at that. There's 3 stitches, okay? So then I knit 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to knit, yarn over, knit, okay? Knit 3, 2, 3, knit, yarn over, oh wait, no, sorry, 1, and look, I messed up. So how do I know where I'm at? I can go pull my stitches apart. That's clearly an increase, right? Knit, yarn over, knit. So, and then I know I need 3 more knits. So if that's my increase, 3 knits, so I do need to do my increase again here. So knit, pull it through, but don't pop it off, yarn over, and then put it back in and knit it again, okay? Yarn over is just, you wrap the yarn the same exact way you do when you're knitting. Your needle is just not in a stitch. And let me show you also how you say you mess up and you need to take out this increase. Okay, so we've increased 2. It only started with 1 stitch, okay? So basically all you have to do is slip this thing off, pull those out, and there's your 1 stitch, okay? So you just have to bring it back down to 1. Here, 2, 3, knit, yarn over, knit, 1, 2. It takes a while. Oops, did it again. So here we go. Knit. See, gotta slow down. Yarn over, knit. Mine is not going to end the same way as yours does because I just put a little bit less stitches on there, so go a little quicker. Okay, so there's my border stitches. Okay, so we're going to get the idea of this thing. We turn into row 2, and we need, let's look at our setup row for row 2. We're going to knit our border stitches in our main color. Then we're going to work our contrasting color for the Thorn flowers pattern, and then we have to add our second ball of the main color for the border stitches, okay? So this is how we're gonna do it. Get my other yarn here. I will put 1 color on my left side and 1 color on my right side of my body. It's very common for these to get twisted, okay? So it is quite cumbersome to do this. But it's cool, and you're learning a new technique. So I'm gonna knit my border stitches, in my main color. 1, 2, 3. Okay, slip this. Okay, so now to add my contrasting color, I'm going to just drop my main color. I'm going to put my needle, it's actually, we've got to purl this thing. So, sorry about that. Put my needle in my stitch as if to purl, and then I'm just going to drape my yarn over. Okay, that's my new color, and then I'm just going to purl it. That's all you do to add a new color. Okay, so we're going to purl to, I kind of want to do this quickly. You guys can work along with this. So I'm purling 2, and then it is, here we go, slip 3 with yarn in front. So hang my yarn, 1, 2, 3. Mine is not going to work out the same as yours because, like I said, I ended differently. 1. Okay, so let me 1, 2, 3. Put my yarn in front. I'm slipping 1, 2, 3, and then I'm purling these. Let me back this out. So purl these. Okay, I yarn in front, just hang that down. 1, 2, 3, and then you would leave it in front if you purl a different way. I bring mine to the back only because I do the Norwegian purl. Okay, so 2, 3, yarn in front, 1, 2, 3, there you go, 1, 2, 3, yarn in front, 1, 2, 3, and we go purl 3, right? Okay. You got the gist of that. Almost done. 1, 2, 3. Oops. Yarn in front. Yarn in front. I was going too fast. I wasn't paying attention. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yours is going to end with a slip 3. Oh, mine's ending right. Slip 3, purl 2. Okay, so here we go. We are at our border stitch. We're done with this row, right? Well, we're not going to knit our border in this contrasting color, so that is why we're going to take our second ball of yarn. Okay, we're going to slip our border, and again, now I'm going to hang it on the other side though, because I'm going to be knitting. So I'm going to bring it here. Let's do this. Whoops, sorry about that. A little bit too close. So I'm putting my needle into the stitch. That's the key. Put your needle into the stitch first. Okay, then I'm going to hang my yarn over, and then I'm just going to knit with that. 1. It's this ball that really is going to pretty much stay on this side. You just need it for these 3 stitches. So then this is where we're going to learn our lockdown method, and it starts on row 3. Okay? Because we need to, if we don't lock these down, this is going to separate, right? So we want to make sure that these don't separate. So the lockdown method is knit your borders, stitches with those 3. Run a knit row. Yes. Okay. Got a little loose, you can tighten it up, pull the end. Okay. This is my contrasting color. It was on the other side. All you have to do is bring it around. Okay. I need to use it now because it says contrasting color. Because at the beginning of every row, it tells you what color you're going to be working that row in. This one says CC. I'm going to take my main color, my old yarn, we'll call it my old yarn, I'm finished with it, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to drape it over my new yarn that I'm going to be using, and I'm just going to leave it hanging there. Okay, just drape it over there, leave it hanging, and then I'm just going to start working this, and it brings it together. I'm not working the pattern, I'm just kind of doing this as an example. Okay, so I want to show you something else also. So let's say I work the whole row, I get to here, I do my lockdown thing again. You want to do, I'm going to turn this around. Okay, you want to do, if I was working this in my main color right now, and I'm coming back here, say this is my main color, pretend it's gray. Okay. Well, here's my main color also, and we're pretending this is my main color. You still want to do the lockdown method so you can keep your border stitches attached to your pattern. So again, I'm going to put my needle in to my stitch. I'm going to take my old yarn, my old color, and I'm just going to hang it over my new color. Watch this. And then I'm going to knit my borders. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to turn it. And you see how this is, it's staying together. Okay, so here we go again. Here's my yarn. Sorry about that. Here's my little ball of yarn that's just on the edge here, and I'm working it right here. If I can find it, as you can see, this is really, oh my gosh, look at, I did a mistake. I made a mistake. I knit that with my tail. See? So this is a common mistake. You will stop doing the tail though the farther you get away from it. So I've got to unknit this. And knit my 3 stitches, border stitches. This is my border yarn. I need to bring it to the back. Then again, I've got to take my old yarn that I was using, hang it over my new yarn like that, and knit with it. Whoops. So it's cumbersome to work with all this yarn. You'll need to tangle it or untwist it quite a bit. But the effect is really cool, and it's a good technique. So then you turn it, and then you would do it again. I guess my point is if you work all the way across this in your main color, and then here's your main color, still do it. Still always drop, use your new one, and do it again. If at some point you look up and you're like, wait, this ball is over here, and then this big ball is over here, it doesn't matter. as long as you've got gray on each side, you're gonna be fine. On each side, meaning your main color on each side of your border stitches, okay? Now, again, I've put the link to each of these techniques in the pattern so you can look them up on my YouTube channel without having to watch this whole video. I think that is it. You want to mark your right side. That's going to be really helpful. So on your right side, what you're going to want to do, you might have already done this with your other square. You just want to hang a stitch marker so that you know whenever this is facing you, it's your right side. So yes, that is it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. If you go slow, watch the videos, go slow, one row at a time, one step at a time, you're gonna be fine, okay? The key is just to go slow. You saw me, I was going fast and I made mistakes. So the key is to go slow, do what it says, and like I said, maybe when you start this pattern, be in a quiet place so you don't lose track of where you're at. Okay? It will be a challenge, but once you get it, it's gonna be fine. And I hope that you enjoy it because it's pretty cool looking. Let me remind you. There we go. It's really cool looking once you get it. So also when you slip knit, do it purlwise, okay, and be consistent with it so that they look the same. So when it says slip knit, purlwise means just go in to slip as if you were gonna purl and slip, and then put it and knit it, and do it the same way every time so that your pattern looks consistent. Okay, I hope you enjoy the square.